we are less than a month away from the much anticipated release of the new Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Some of us are counting down the hours by replaying our favorite Zelda installments. But might I suggest an alternative? Perhaps it's time to try a Not-Zelda game. We all know that The Legend of Zelda has been a genre-defining series and has inspired countless imitators over the years. So the real question is, which clones are worth your time now? Luckily for you, I'm here to share my top 10 totally not Zelda games that you need to play. It's not often that someone recommends Magic Scheherazade, likely due to its unpronounceable name and illegible font. Like Frankenstein's creature, Scheherazade awkwardly stitches together elements from other games to create a new life that's original and misunderstood. This act of video game necromancy borrows combat systems from the likes of Dragon Warrior and The Legend of Zelda, resulting in an action-adventure RPG that's as monstrously bizarre as it is charming, thanks largely to developer Culture Brain's signature art style and goofy humor. Longtime Zelda fans may be reminded the dual-world system present in A Link to the Past, as their time-traveling hero explores his surroundings in both the past and deeper past of ancient Arabia. Gamers with tight budgets will also be relieved to hear that Scheherazade is one of the cheapest suggestions on this list, with card-only copies currently fetching about $10. Have you ever found yourself playing a really good Zelda game but lamenting that it just wasn't doing enough to make you cry? Well, thanks to the sadistic game designers employed at Matrix Software in the mid-90s, you too can bawl your eyes out in both frustration and sadness as you step into the twisted dreams of Alundra's truly unfortunate denizens. Alundra is less about the titular dream-walking protagonist as it is a story about the sad fate of the villagers he encounters. Alundra does a fantastic job of making you care about the individual lives of totally unplayable NPCs and then brutally killing them off as your hero is helpless to intervene. As if this cruel heartbreak wasn't stressful enough, the game is also ridiculously difficult. Speaking of difficult games, Star Tropics is basically Nintendo of America's alternate universe Zelda, where Hyrule is now the Pacific Islands, the princess is Indiana Jones, and the Master Sword is a yo-yo. And then someone started a nasty rumor that filthy Americans couldn't handle difficult games, and somewhere in Richmond, Virginia, director Genyo Takeda leaned back in his cushy office chair and laughed maniacally. With its side-scrolling platform dungeons, For the Frog the Bell Tolls may just be the least Zelda-like entry in this video, but fans of Link's Awakening will surely feel the familiar pangs of nostalgic deja vu as they hop through the humorous fairy tale adventure. For you see, Awakening was built on Frog's pre-established engine, a sort of after-hours project by driven Nintendo developers who initially wanted to capture the Link to the Past experience in monochromatic handheld form. Consequently, some of Frog's borrowed assets, such as sound bites, carried over to the final project. Given the whimsical tonal changes present in the Zelda game starting with Awakening, it could even be suggested that For the Frog is the missing link in the evolution of the Zelda series. Or maybe it's just a good action-adventure game that you should play. While all the titles in this video owe their heritage to Nintendo's iconic heart-gathering puzzle-solving sword-slashing and chicken-kicking series, Golden Axe Warrior and the original Legend of Zelda are so alike that Sega's version must have been a deliberate copy. But given Nintendo's ruthless licensing contracts that starved the Master System of crucial third-party life support, I like to think of Golden Axe Warrior as simply being Sega's way of telling Nintendo to smoke their collective dick. As Nintendo legally strong-armed developers from publishing for other platforms, Sega retaliated by shamelessly replicating one of their opposition's most popular titles. Golden Axe Warrior may be completely unoriginal by design, but the good news is that copying an excellent game usually produces another excellent game. If only Nintendo had tried that with The Adventure of Link. Once again proving that Sega does what Nintendo don't. The Legend of Zelda's origin story is well known amongst Nintendo fans. Wanting to recapture the sense of awe and adventure of his childhood memories, Shigeru Miyamoto based the land of Hyrule on the fields, forests, and caves that he explored in his youth. How fitting then that Eiji Aonuma, who has been deeply involved in the design of the Zelda series since Ocarina of Time, have directed his first game around the romanticized misadventures of childhood. Marvelous, Another Treasure Island tells the tale of three boys in their search for the long-lost pirate's treasure, Marvelous. Marvelous is aptly named. It is unique among action-adventure games for downplaying the emphasis on combat and doubling down on a more complex puzzle system. It's not exactly a point-and-click, although at times it implements a similar approach. The game still includes plenty of action. It's just in the form of more traditional boy-like activities such as fishing, throwing baseballs, jumping, and tug-of-war. Yes, Marvelous is an amazing experience, but it was due to its creative take on the genre that Aonuma secured his position on the Zelda series development team. Back in the day, Super Nintendo gamers had A Link to the Past, a title many now champion as the greatest game ever coded. Meanwhile, Sega kiddies may have owned Crusader of Centy, but chances are they didn't because it's stupid rare. Still, visually, you can see where I'm attempting to draw a parallel. The game just screams knockoff, even when it's really quite different. Crusader of Centy is the story of a little boy who loses the ability to communicate with people, and instead finds himself conversing with animals, loyal companions who join his adventure and lend the boy their unique puzzle-solving talents. Toss in some time traveling and heady morality lessons, and you've got the recipe for a pretty amazing adventure. I might not like it, but Sega thoroughly lost a great handheld war of the early 90s. Sega was armed to the teeth with full-color graphics and backlighting. But Nintendo was fighting a Cold War supported by the Soviet power of Tetris. They say history is written by the victors, and the Game Gear is now all but a dirty word amongst vintage collectors today. But perhaps we'd be singing a different tune if something like Sylvan Tale had been released in the US. Perhaps all the Game Gear needed was a killer app to win back the market. What would have made a more alluring system seller than a solid Zelda clone? But sadly, Sylvan Tale wouldn't be released in Japan until 1995. Too late to turn the tides of war. Beyond Oasis is the breathtaking cross between a Zelda clone and a beat-em-up. While the game is primarily about exploration and puzzle solving, developers' ancient Streets of Rage 2 roots lends a robust combo system to the fights not typically found in other action adventures, a genre that leans heavily towards the match A to succeed philosophy of combat. Much like Crusader of Centy, Beyond Oasis ditches equipment in favor of specialized familiars. In keeping with its romantic Persian theme, the hero Ali can summon genie-like spirits from the enchanted artifacts to assist him with puzzles and combat. Based on gameplay alone, Oasis is already a great Zelda competitor. But the game itself feels like an interactive cartoon. The extra polish on top of a solid mechanical foundation makes Beyond Oasis one of the best games for the Sega Genesis, much less this video. 3D Dot Game Heroes is a shameless love letter addressed to the original Zelda. The entire world approximates an 8-bit adventure as fully rendered in 3-dimensional voxels. Exploring Pop-Up Hyrule is a novel experience on its own, but Heroes is also really silly. The two big features that set it apart from everything else is the player's ability to draw their own sprites and the totally ridiculous sword upgrade system that incrementally increases the length and girth of the hero's weapon until it eventually fills the screen and annihilates everything in its path. At best, this is a recipe for silliness, and at worst, you end up with, well, naked hero guy wielding his massive schlong with lethal force. And there you have it, 10 excellent Zelda-inspired adventures just dying to be experienced with a bonus helping of game history. This has been Daria Plays RPGs, and I don't know where I'm going with this. The video's over now. Subscribe. Do it. Or not. Bye.